Hey everybody out there, it's Pastor John with your Midweek Reflection. Our Pastor Emeritus, the Reverend John Rainey, is preaching this week, so I thought I'd go a little different route with this episode and talk about one of the changes that our leadership is working on and hopefully presenting in fullness to the congregation this fall. And it has to do with membership and a member covenant. Now, this issue really came to a boiling point the last couple of years at congregational meetings where we struggled to get 25% of our membership to gather together as a community. 25%. And many of you tried, and we tried to make it happen, and it was still such a struggle. And so we thought, if we're struggling to get 25% of our membership to these meetings, maybe our understanding and our way of doing membership isn't a very good reflection of what we're looking for as Point Place, as for a member of Point Place UCC community of Christians. So we started asking questions like, should we even do membership at all? Or why would someone become a member of a church? And is it just to have members' benefits, discounts on weddings and funerals? And to me, that understanding of membership just is completely unhelpful to understand what it means to be part of God's community. And so we kept coming back to how God does relationship and how God does community. And God does relationship and community through covenant. And if you ask me, I think we might as well just throw out membership altogether. I don't think it has really much value at all to the church unless we think of it within this concept of covenant. So what is a covenant then? And this is a really important question to answer. What is a covenant? Well, first of all, what a covenant is not is a casual relationship where we just all kind of hang out as long as it feels good kind of thing. A covenant is a high commitment relationship. So when God calls Abraham, he says, go from your house and your kindred and your family and go somewhere. And if we look at a lot of other covenants God makes, they're high commitment type of thing. So it's not a casual relationship. But a covenant is also not a list of rules. This is very important. A covenant is not a list of rules. It never is. And sometimes we even misunderstand the Bible in this way, and we talk about the law in the Old Testament. Well, we really think of it as Torah. The Hebrew word is Torah, instruction. It's a covenant that God makes with his people, where he says, I will be your God, you will be my people, and here's what that means. Here's what I'm promising to you, and here are the things I'm asking you, the ways I'm asking you to live, so that you can enter into this vision of being my people, blessing the world, right? And so that's what a covenant is. All right, it's instructions for it's structure for how we live out the vision that God has given us. It is not a list of rules. God doesn't say, and God doesn't act this out. If you break one of my rules, you're out of the community. No, they keep the prophets, in fact, when they come to Israel, what they say is, hey look, you guys have strayed time and time again, but remember the covenant. God is calling you back to live into this vision that he's given you. Remember the covenant. Live out the covenant. It's something that we are called into and called back to when we stray. So it's not a list of rules. It's a way of living out the calling that God has given us and the vision that God has given us. Now this is hard for many of us to conceive of because that's not how we have tended to think about membership or Christianity or what have you. We've tended to think about all of these things as, I can never remember which hand I'm using. It's backwards for me. As boundary-focused, rule-based. Okay, so right now that's what our membership is. If you follow the rules, which are you either come once a year or give once a year or take communion once a year, if you follow the rules, you're a member. And if you don't, you're out. So it's very low commitment. We made our membership rules, anyone could do that, whether you're a Christian or not, really. You're either in or out whether you follow the rules, okay? And so when we handed out our draft of the membership covenant, a lot of you were like, wow, that's a lot more rules I have to follow if I'm going to be in. But here's the thing, the covenant isn't about being in or out. A covenant is not a list of rules, and it's not boundary focused. It is center focused. A covenant is center focused, and the Jesus movement is center focused. No matter where you are, the calling is the direction you're moving. Are you moving towards God, into God's love? Are you becoming more like Christ? And the covenant is what helps us stay moving in that direction. So it's not boundary focused. It's something that calls us to the center and helps guide us to the center of what we're called to do. So our membership covenant isn't a list of rules. It's guidance. It's instruction based on our vision that we've agreed on. This is the community we want to be. We want to live the gospel life together as we glorify, grow, and glow. And the covenant is saying, how do we live that out as a community? How do we do community in a way that's going to help us be that gospel life together living community, glorifying, growing, and glowing community? This is what helps us enter into it. So to enter into the covenant isn't saying, I'm going to tentatively say, yeah, I'm going to follow all the rules and kind of be tentative, and maybe our leaders are going to police me, and if I break one of the rules, they're going to kick me out. Not what we're asking. We're saying, do you agree that we have a shared vision, a shared center? And do you agree that this is a good guidance and instruction for living that out together? And I don't think personally anything in the membership covenant is at all removed from the way of Christ and what God has called us to and instructions that God has given us. Okay? The other thing that I've heard a couple times that I just want to clarify is people saying, well, I've been a member for all these years. What, now I have to prove myself and jump through some covenant hoop or something and do some ritual? No. All covenants that God makes have symbols. They have symbols, physical symbols associated with entrance into the covenant. And that's because we as human beings need physical things to help us internalize spiritual things like commitment and relationship. So, we're not asking to jump through hoops. It's like the new covenant, the Jesus covenant symbols are baptism and communion. And we don't ask, well, some of us do maybe, but generally we don't ask, well, why do I have to do communion once a month? Why do I have to be baptized? It's not a matter of what you have to do. It's about being a part of something really meaningful, of gathering together around Jesus' table for communion, of being washed in the grace of God and immersed in the love of Christ. These are symbols that help us to internalize these realities and help us to live into this vision as physical people. So when we do a covenant ceremony or a ritual, wherever we come up with, we don't want it to be just a hoop that you have to jump through to prove yourself. We want it to be something that's really meaningful for the community, to be a physical experience that says we're in this together, we're pursuing this vision together, and we're going to pick each other up and encourage each other and support each other as we live towards the center, Jesus Christ, and the mission and the purpose that we've been called to. That's the whole idea of the covenant. And so I hope that you'll consider kind of throwing out one way of thinking about membership, rule-based, boundary-focused, and consider a whole different framework of covenant, where we're headed together as a community. And continue to ask questions, continue to voice your thoughts. As always, I look forward to doing that and having this conversation with you in person as we live the gospel life together. And in the meantime, may God bless you.